you're working with real estate professionals. I mean, you're working with a lot of folks, but you have been working with a lot more real estate professionals, specifically realtors, but also real estate investors, a lot of which also are realtors, through a service that you called like a concierge service. All while, especially as it relates to realtors, helping or showing them how they can add profits and increase profits on every single transaction while adding benefit to their client too. And really without much extra cost from time and management on their side. So can you tell me a little bit about that? Because it's definitely very interesting, and especially in an environment where we got transaction volume falling in the market, which that impacts agents' pocketbook. We've had low inventory before. Now we got transaction volume falling, and possibility, at least some folks think prices could be falling too. It's when we're talking more profit per transaction, that probably perks a lot of agents' ears, specifically in this market. So what is that exactly?
You bet. So everybody knows that closing day is a great day. Even though it can be stressful, the buyer gets a set of keys. The agent gets a check. The very next day, the agent is unemployed until the next closing, and the buyer is off setting up services such as internet, home security, energy, things like that. So what we've done is we've created a concierge service for the real estate professional to bring more value to their buyer. Imagine your buyer, when they leave the closing and they have to go search all these different firms to set up these services. What if the buyer had the ability to go to your website, set up all these services actually prior to closing to take one more headache out of the way? Mm-hmm. Now you've brought a tremendous value to the buyer, and the agent has turned that one-time closing into a lifetime of commissions.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. And I can imagine, especially with migratory, like very large migratory changes in the United States with COVID, moving across towns, one thing. You may already know a lot of providers, but moving across state lines or even into brand new cities, it's a daunting task. It's daunting for us as investors, and I know them. I know providers, but it can be really daunting for clients in addition to just the very complicated, and sometimes unnecessarily so, real estate transaction.
Absolutely.
So what when we're talking about concierge service and adding extra value, well, what are some of these services that can be, and there's probably a lot. So what are some of the options that realtors can provide their clients? And then maybe let's highlight a couple of the options that you're seeing most realtors and clients find the most value out of.
Well, the first thing every buyer is going to have to do is turn on the electricity and probably natural gas.
Especially in Texas.
Especially in Texas. Now, in America today, the way things are, security is more important than ever. And we have partnered with Vivint, which is the North America's #1 home, not only security, but automation firm. Mm-hmm. And we have incredible offers for our clients that the real estate professional can offer their buyers. Also, internet. Obviously, most homes are going to have internet. And we have just an amazing offer through Verizon with a 5G little mini tower for less than $50 a month with no contract, no credit check. I mean, they're going to do all these services. Mm-hmm. Another biggie is cell phones. I was paying about $280 a month for my 4 cell phones, and I had 15 gigs of shared data. My daughters like to stream videos. We always went over 15 gigs. Today, I'm on the #1 rated network in America, and I took those 4 phones from 280 a month to 105 a month, saving me about 2,000 a year. But I have 50 gigs of 5G on each phone and a free hotspot with no.
All right, so we got electricity, natural gas, and now gas, is that all areas, or is it?
No. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. In the United States, about 19 states are deregulated for some type of energy, whether it be gas or electric.
Yeah.
For instance, gas in Texas is not deregulated. I do a
But
lot
electricity is in most areas of Texas.
Yeah, that is correct. In the state of Georgia, for example, where I'm a part owner of a 950 unit apartment complex, natural gas is deregulated, but electricity is not. So it just depends on each state. But there are 19 states that have some form of deregulation where we can do business there.
Yeah. So as far as the realtor, how does it really work? Or are you familiar with how they're proposing this to clients, or how that's set up? Because a lot of times with realtors, we definitely want to make sure that it's a seamless transaction from start to actually before start, from when we're prospecting all the way till a listing agreement signed or a buyer agreement signed, throughout the entire process. So if we're just say we're talking with buyers here, through the entire process, all the way through closing, hand them the keys, and make sure everything's as absolutely seamless as possible, because it can be chaotic. There's a lot of moving parts. So how are you seeing agents introduce this into that process, to really help the buyers have a smoother transition into their new home?
Great question. So I've never sat in the seat of a realtor at a closing, but I've been in many closings for myself. And I know on every closing, the realtor handed me documents of, hey, here's who you call for your water. Here's who you call for your electricity. Here's who you call for your gas. Here's who you call for garbage disposal, all that kind of stuff. Same process.
Yeah.
The good news is that because they would have their own, I like to call it a storefront. It's like an Amazon, but there's no products. It's just services that we're going to use. They would go to the realtor's storefront and just select the services they want. It's very simple, and it eliminates having to make multiple phone calls and all that kind of stuff. So if I were the realtors I work with, the way they do it is they bring it up right away that, hey, we do have this concierge service. It's just an added benefit to you, a part of working with me. And they lead them, all the way up to closing. And a lot of them set up the services prior to closing. And the customers seem to love it, the buyers, because it's a one-stop shop. They can do it in their own home, on the realtor's storefront, or they can do it in the realtor's office on the storefront. And it makes it very seamless.
Yeah, especially if you're able to do the one-stop shop, as opposed to hopping around everywhere and then even shopping around everywhere, not knowing what to get. That's it can be very tedious, especially while you're going through the chaos of trying to buy a home, and dealing with the lenders, your insurance provider, closing, moving, and all that other stuff. So, so this thing that you're working with realtors is not exclusive for realtors, though, because you work with other investors who naturally, typically, they're involved in transactions all the time. How are you seeing investors take advantage of this?
Same way. Well, if if property managers do very well with this, think about it this way: like the 950 unit complex that we own, we never could make any money on utilities, on internet, on security. Well, now the owner of that complex can make money off those services, and bring more value again to their clients. One other thing I want to mention, this is really amazing. We do health sharing, and many real estate professionals are self-employed, meaning they have to go buy their own health care. I'm not a licensed health insurance agent because it's not health insurance, it's health sharing, which I think is a far superior concept. I'll just give you my example. I was with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now I'm an older guy. I'm 64. My wife is 61. We were paying $1,600 a month, Chris, for Blue Cross Blue Shield. I mean, it's unbelievable. 1,600. Now through our health sharing program, we're less than 600. Saved us about 12 grand a year.
Yeah.
So it's another service that a lot of the real estate professionals take advantage of for themselves personally.
Yeah, we've seen a spike in the health sharing services, or not really a spike, but definitely several companies have come across my desk, and I know a lot of folks that both realtors and investors that use them. We have it with my family, and I was with Blue Cross Blue Shield before. And I don't remember if it was them or it was another insurance company, but I actually went to their own hospital, whatever insurance company it was, their own hospital, and they misbilled me. And then it took me a year of proving over and over that they were wrong, and they actually owed me money. And they eventually sent me a check, but I'm like, come on, guys, this is like your insurance company and your own hospital, but I'm having to correct you. And they're all unique, and obviously everyone's got their own unique health circumstances, but we've been very pleased with health sharing.